up to that point, I hadn't talked to anybody in my family about my situation. I had decided that I knew exactly what I was doing, and I am a very private person, and I was comfortable dealing with my own situation. But when Dr. Bleicher mentioned that I would be asleep for 3.5 to 4 hours if she did bilateral mastectomies, I thought, holy buckets, you know, maybe I better tell my kids, because if something happens to me, they'll really be upset, and then I'd really be in trouble. So I decided maybe I'd better tell my kids. Some of them burst out crying.
I got no family. And I got nothing left.
My family had I think they just kind of sat and waited to see how I was going to react before they would react themselves. Like the feeling of showing fear. If I show fear, they're going to be frightened. And I'm a very strong-willed person, so I did try and keep myself in check. They were able to deal with it as long as I did. You know, it was hard for them. It's very difficult. Nobody likes to see someone you love suffer, and I think that's the way that they felt.
Well, my sisters and my mother did not know until after I had already had the operation. And I knew I was going to make it. That's when I told them. Of course, they were all mad at me because I didn't tell them before. But ever since I was a kid, it seemed like my mother was always the one to make my decisions. And so this was one time I was going to make a decision on my own, and I was going to try to do it on my own and see if I could, and I did. And then I told my mother, my sisters, and I decided then that if I can survive this, I can do anything. And so I did.
Well, the rest of my family was a little bit frightened, I think. They all hovered around and thought, you know, you say cancer and you think, boy, that's the end of time. And it really isn't, you know, there is treatment now. And so they were very supportive, though, but they were very scared.
But before that, I called my husband and I told him, and there was this dead silence at the other end. When I had my mammogram and they had a biopsy, and then they told me that I had, and I was going to have my surgery in Minot, and my family had a fit. And they said, go to Bismarck, you know, so that's how I met you. And I think my niece contacted you.
Cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence, that there is a way to deal with it. And the earlier you can get help, your chances are much better, and that we shouldn't have to fear it and not talk about it. It's something that should be discussed.
Well, she didn't want to hurt us, and then I think she was afraid, and there was fear there too, you know, before she let us know about it. She accept, you know, whatever consequence. Oh, she didn't tell me, she told my daughter. And then so we sat around, and one of my daughters was crying, and we all cried, and then she got up real strong. Then she said, well, what is your faith? He said, if you want me healed, she said, believe with me, you know, the whole family, believe with me. And then right away, I said, well, we'll stand with you, we'll believe with you, we'll be praying for you. And then so That very next day, they sent her to Billings Clinic here. And then that's when they scheduled her for the operation, the surgery.
I mean, we lived together and we ate together and everything, but we just never talked about it. I mean, it just happened to us and we just went on with our lives. We just never talked about it. Because we didn't pity each other or anything. We just expected each other to get through with what we were going through because he was going through radiation too.
And I told my mom, and she was all upset about it. And
The hard part is my son. In the beginning, it was very difficult for him to understand and to accept my illness. He thought maybe because of my marriage and having problems with my husband and that he might have injured me in some way, and that's how I had gotten it. But I had him, feel the wound and so forth, and explain to him that there's so many ways of getting breast cancer, and there's no one answer.
my oldest daughter, she was really upset about it, and even now, she said, Mom, are you sure you're all right? Because I'm not ready for you to die. I said, I'm too ornery to die.
Except for the oldest, Buggin, I don't know, he took it hard. He thought I was going to die. We almost had to take him for counseling because what he knows of cancer is that when you have it, you're going to die. When he thought he was losing his mother, when he had a tough time in school, counseling, it was more or less just like our local friends, like pastors and stuff, and they helped him, and he got through it.
Hans, my 15-year-old. So I said, Hans, I've been diagnosed with cancer. I'm going to have surgery at some point. Do you want to stay up there or do you want to come home? He said, no, I'm coming home.
I was depressed. I mean, there wasn't anything that I could do. It already happened. That had to sing in first, and when it did, when I accepted it, I dealt with life again. I mean, it was embarrassing at first to go out because it seems like people were just staring at you. I mean, they probably didn't even know. That it seemed like they did know.
I would really like to share with especially women because of the breast cancer to don't be afraid to go and find out. If you suspect something's wrong, go and find out what it is. Don't sit there and think it's going to go away, because it won't. And so many times Native Americans like myself wait and wait, thinking, well, if I don't go, it might go away.
Women don't have to go into depression. It's okay to cry. It's okay to get frustrated. But your life does not have to end because of breast cancer. You can still have a full life. And if I can help one woman to keep from going into depression, turning to drugs, turning to alcoholism, or just giving up, that's what I want to do.
And you can fight it. There's all kinds of ways to fight it. There's all kinds of drugs out there to treat it. Breast cancer has to be stopped, and we are the only ones that can stop it because we examine our own breasts.